Rain hits the glass tower like a punishment. Ella Cole stands on the sidewalk outside the Riverside Crown, soaked to the skin, fingers locked around a clinic envelope that is starting to melt at the edges. Yellow cabs hiss past, horns and sirens slicing the New York night. Her hair sticks to her cheeks, mascara bleeding under her eyes. She has been here for almost 3 hours. At first she waited under the awning, pretending she was just another guest. Then the doorman started glancing at her with polite worry, and worry is not what she wants. She wants Nicholas Walker, and the future he promised her in hotel rooms and borrowed apartments. I will leave her, EL. You are the exception. You are my real life. Her phone screen is a graveyard of unread messages. No reply. No call. A black town car glides up to the curb, sleek as a shark. Headlights cut across the rain and catch Ella full in the face. Her pulse jumps. She steps forward, clutching the envelope so tight the paper cuts her palm. The rear door opens. Nicholas climbs out first, tall and immaculate, dark hair only slightly damp, suit perfect even in the storm. For a suspended second his eyes find her, hazel and startled, like he never believed she would really show up. Then his expression drops, clean and cold. The other rear door opens. A woman steps out with the calm of someone who owns the concrete she is standing on. Long dark coat, silk scarf, heels that do not care about puddles. Her hair is twisted back in a perfect knot. Ella knows her face from magazine covers and Google searches. Victoria Walker, the wife. The rain suddenly sounds like laughter. Ella reacts before she can think. She cuts around the front of the car and slams her palm against the passenger window. Nick, get out of the car, she shouts. We need to talk. The doorman stiffens. A couple under an umbrella slows down. Across the street, a camera lens glints in the dark. New York never really looks away. Nicholas swears under his breath and strides toward her, one hand raised like he can shield her from the scene she is already making. Ella, what the hell are you doing here? He hisses. You cannot just show up at my building. He smells like expensive cologne and rain and every lie she ever fell asleep on. You did not answer your phone, she says. Her voice comes out high and thin. You said you had news after the summit, that it was finally happening. I waited and then the clinic. Her fingers shake as she rips open the envelope. The paper is soft from the rain, but the word at the top is still crystal clear. Positive. I am pregnant, Ella says. The word hangs between them, bright and shocking. Her heart pounds so hard her vision blurs. You promised you would leave her, she whispers. You said we would get a place in Brooklyn. You said you were just waiting for the lawyers. You said. Stop. He snaps. His hand closes around her wrist, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. His eyes flick past her shoulder, counting the cameras, the faces, the phones. A flash pops from across the street. Another. Let go of me, Ella says, yanking her arm back. Nicholas snatches the paper instead. He stares at it, jaw tight, then glances toward the car. Through the tinted glass, Victoria is only a pale outline, perfectly still, watching. His mouth twists. Ella, he says, and his voice is nothing like the warm murmur she knows in the dark. You should not have come here. Something in her chest cracks. You told me you loved me, she says. You told me I was not like the others. He laughs once, short and humorless. Do you hear yourself? He asks. You are 26. You know how this city works. We had fun. I was generous. Do not rewrite the story now. You lied to me. She fires back. About your marriage, about my work, about everything. You knew I was married. He says through his teeth. You chose this. Do not pretend you are some innocent girl from Ohio. The cameras click faster. A reporter edges closer, already smelling blood. You said this baby mattered, she says, tears mixing with rain. You said we were a family. I said a lot of things to keep you from causing trouble. Nicholas says quietly. Here is the reality. I have a board seat, a brand, and a wife whose last name still opens doors. You are a talented designer with no leverage and terrible judgment. The blow is so sharp she sways. I will wire you money. He continues. Enough to handle this quietly. After that, we are done. If you ever show up like this again, I will make sure every firm in this city knows you as a liability. The air tastes like exhaust and humiliation. The passenger door opens with a soft click. Victoria steps out into the rain. She does not rush. She does not pull up her hood. She walks around the car and comes to stand beside her husband, leaving a deliberate inch of space between them. Up close, she is the kind of beautiful that does not need filters. Her lipstick is dark red, her eyes clear and cold. Ella, is it? she asks. The sound of her own name from the wife's mouth almost knocks Ella over. You knew about me, Ella whispers. All this time. Victoria studies her like a spreadsheet, eyes skimming from the envelope to Nicholas's tight jaw to the cluster of journalists. My husband has always been generous with his attention, she says. You were not the first. You would not have been the last. Nicholas bristles. Victoria, this is not the time. Oh, relax, Nick, she says softly. The damage is already done. Another flash goes off. Someone yells a question about the pregnancy. Another asks Victoria how long she has known about the affair. Nicholas tears the test result into confetti. The pieces fall into the gutter and vanish into filthy water. There is nothing to discuss, he announces, switching into his polished public voice. This woman has been harassing me. Security will escort her away. The doorman hesitates, trapped between paycheck and conscience. Ella's heart slams against her ribs. Everything inside her drops, then rises again, hot and sharp. She straightens her shoulders. You are a coward, she says, voice clear even through the storm. You use people and throw them away when they stop being convenient. Do not do this, he mutters. Not here. You are afraid I will ruin you? She asks. You should be. She looks wrecked, she knows it. Her hair is a disaster, her makeup is running, she is shaking with cold and fury. But the line has been crossed, and there is no walking it back. She steps out of his reach and meets his eyes one last time. You are going to regret tonight, she says. Every single lie, every stolen idea, every time you treated me like a secret. Then she turns to Victoria. For what it is worth, Ella says. I did not know what kind of man he really was, but I am done protecting him. For a heartbeat, something like respect flickers in Victoria's gaze. We will see, Victoria says. She gets back in the car. Nicholas throws Ella a final, warning look and follows. The town car pulls away, taillights bleeding red through the rain. Reporters rush in, shouting questions. Miss, are you pregnant with Mr. Walker's child? How long has the affair been going on? Did he promise to leave his wife? Ella does not answer. Her fingers curl into fists. The pieces of her future swirl down a storm drain. For the first time since she met Nicholas Walker, there is nothing left to cling to. She turns her back on the cameras, lifts her chin, and walks into the storm. Somewhere between one step and the next, the desperate girl who believed him dies. In her place, something raw and furious begins to wake up. Ella spends 3 days in the dark. Lena moves into her apartment, like a small tornado with a spare key, bringing soup, painkillers, and enough curses for Nicholas to fuel a horror movie. On the third night, the fever breaks. The city is a blur beyond the blinds, neon smeared across the ceiling stain that looks like teeth when she stares too long. You alive? Lena asks from the doorway, wearing an oversized hoodie and eyeliner that has long given up. Unfortunately, Ella croaks. Good, Lena says. We are not done being petty. She helps Ella sit up and presses a mug of tea into her hands. The internet thinks you are either the devil or a victim, Lena reports. Half the comments are awful. The other half want your skincare routine. I blocked his number on everything, by the way. You went through my phone, Ella says, but there is no anger behind it. You went through a public meltdown, Lena replies. I figure we are even. Ella sips the tea and stares at the wall. I burned my sketches, she says quietly. Lena's head snaps up. Which ones? The original Midtown drafts, Ella says. The first concepts. The ones I drew at 3 in the morning in my pajamas. I could not look at them anymore. She remembers crouching on the living room floor, feeding paper into a metal trash can above the sink, watching graphite lines curl and blacken. The smoke alarm screamed until she ripped the battery out. She had cried until she could not breathe. It felt like I was erasing myself, she whispers. But they already had his name on them. In the real world they were his. That is not true, Lena says sharply. The real world also has hard drives, cloud storage, and your addiction to backing up everything. Ella blinks. What? Lena snatches her phone off the nightstand and taps a few times. I spent last night in the magical land of your old project folders, she says. You never delete anything. We have timestamped drafts, email chains, voice memos of him drooling over your ideas. It is all there. Ella's heart stutters. I thought I deleted those, she says. You dragged one shortcut to the trash and called it closure, Lena says. Not how computers work. She flips the screen around. Ella sees her own file names, her own messy version numbers, her own hand in every line. I wanted to call a lawyer. Lena says. But I figured you should decide what happens next. We can bury it and move on. Or we can weaponize the truth. Weaponize. The word sits heavy and tempting. Even if I prove the designs are mine. Ella says. He still has the power. He has the board, the money, the PR firm. He does not have a wife who looks that calm in a scandal. Lena says. Did you see her face? That woman is planning something. As if summoned, Ella's phone buzzes. Unknown number. Good morning, Ms. Cole. This is Victoria Walker. I would like to speak with you about my husband. Coffee, tomorrow, noon, at Hudson Street Cafe. I will be there whether you show up or not. Ella reads it twice. Okay, that is either a murder invitation or the start of a feminist heist. Lena says. I vote we assume the fun won. She watched him humiliate me and did nothing. Ella says. Why would she want to help me? Because she hates him more than she hates you. Lena says. Or because she hates him and does not hate you at all. You will not know if you stay in bed. Fear and curiosity wrestle in Ella's chest. I am not going as his mistress, she says slowly. I am going as the person whose name should be on that building. Lena's grin is feral. That is my girl, she says. I will sit at the bar with sunglasses and look like bad background acting in a spy movie. The next day, Hudson Street Cafe hums with laptops and low conversation. Ella pushes the door open and spots Victoria instantly. She is by the window, posture straight, fingers wrapped around a white mug. No jewelry except a watch and a thin band on her left hand. She looks up as Ella approaches. Ms. Cole, she says. Thank you for coming. Ella. She replies, sitting. I am not sure why I am here. I am. Victoria says. I am tired of being married to a man who assumes my silence is permanent. Her voice is soft, but every word lands like a stone. You knew about us. Ella says. About me. I knew about all of them. Victoria says. Nicholas collects women he thinks he can control. Interns, consultants, actresses, influencers. You were a different. How flattering. Ella says, bitterness scraping her throat. You threatened him. Victoria says simply. You refused to disappear quietly. I watched the footage of that night more than once. You told him he would regret his lies. I believe you meant it. Ella stares at the table. I loved who I thought he was. She admits. The man who believed in my work. The man who made me feel like my ideas mattered. I built my whole life around a version of him that did not exist. Good. Victoria says. Ella looks up, startled. Good. I cannot work with you if you are still in love with him. Victoria says. I am not interested in using another woman's feelings as a weapon. I am interested in using the truth. She slides a slim folder across the table. Bank statements. She says. Shell companies. Unauthorized transfers. Nicholas has been moving money out of Walker Architecture for years. Some went into legitimate investments. Some went into apartments and cars for women, who did not think to ask where the money came from. Ella flips through the pages, dizzy at the numbers. You had this all along, she says. Why not go to the board? Because I needed more than suspicion. Victoria replies. I needed proof that he also stole intellectual property and used company resources to fund his affairs. I needed him to look like a liability, not just a bad husband. That is where you come in. You think he kept evidence on his laptop? Ella says. I know he did. Victoria says. Men like Nicholas love digital trophies. I cannot walk into his office and copy files without raising suspicion. You, however, were his star designer, his special exception. He believes you are broken and ashamed, which makes you invisible. Breaking into his system would be illegal. Ella says. Exposing what he has already done is justice. Victoria says. But I will not force you. If you walk away now, I will find another path. It will be slower, messy. You owe me nothing. Walk away. Get a new job. Change her number. Pretend the skyline with his name under it does not hurt every time she looks up. Or stay. What happens if I say yes? Ella asks. Then we collect what we need. Victoria says. We go to the board, the auditors, and the press. We remove him from his own company. You are credited and compensated. I walk away from this marriage with leverage and enough capital to start over. She pauses. And maybe, she adds. Two women who were supposed to hate each other walk away as business partners instead. It is insane. It is risky. It feels more honest than anything Nicholas has said in years. Fine. Ella says. Let us burn him down properly. 2 days later, Ella walks back into Walker Architecture for the first time since Nicholas fired her. The lobby is all glass and steel and carefully curated art. The receptionist blinks when she sees her. Ella, she says. Wow, it has been a while. I am here for the Riverside model I left in Mr. Walker's office. Ella says, keeping her tone light. Mrs. Walker said she cleared it. At the mention of Victoria, the receptionist's expression shifts. Right, she says. She emailed. Here is your visitor badge. Elevator is open. The ride-up feels longer than it used to. Her reflection in the mirrored walls looks like someone else, same freckles, same dark eyes, but there is a hardness there now. Nicholas's office door is slightly open. Ella pushes it wider and steps in. The space is exactly as she remembers. Floor-to-ceiling windows with a postcard view of the river. Shelves of awards with Nicholas's name on them. The Riverside model sits in a corner, gathering dust. His laptop gleams on the desk, black and smug. A security camera blinks red in the corner. She crosses to the model first, lifting it like that is the only reason she came, then angles her body so her back is to the camera and slides into his chair. Her hands hover over the keyboard. Think like him, she mutters. What does he worship? She types his old password. Denied. She cycles through variations. Their fake anniversary. The company initials. The year of the IPO. Denied, denied. Her chest tightens. On the shelf above, a framed rendering catches her eye. Midtown, all lit up, his name under the image. The approval date is printed in the corner, next to the project code. She tries the project code plus the date. The screen unlocks. Relief hits so hard she almost laughs. Folders spill across the desktop. Personal. Board. Midtown. Offshore. His ego in digital form. She plugs in the flash drive Victoria gave her and starts copying. Midtown first. Subfolders full of files with her naming styles, her organization. Then offshore, pages of numbers and transfers. A separate folder labeled gifts, full of invoices for cars, apartments, jewelry. She is halfway through when the elevator dings down the hall. Voices. Footsteps. A laugh she knows too well. Nicholas. Panic claws at her throat. She yanks the drive, forgets to eject, shoves it into her pocket. She closes windows as fast as she can, pulls up a blank email, grabs the Riverside model, and steadies her breathing. The door opens. Nicholas stops short when he sees her. Ella. He says. What are you doing here? Up close, he looks frayed. Dark circles under his eyes, tie slightly crooked. He has lost weight. I came for my model, she says, lifting it. Victoria said I could. His eyes flick to the laptop, then back. You should have asked me, he says, stepping further into the room. You cannot just wander into my office. I do not work for you anymore, she says. I thought it would be polite to let your wife know instead. His jaw tightens. You think she is on your side now? He asks. Because she did not scratch your eyes out in public? You are more naive than I thought. I think she is on her own side, Ella says. Which is more than I can say for you. He moves closer, lowering his voice. You are playing with fire, he says. You embarrassed me at my own building. You think anyone will want to hire you after that? I think some people care more about talent than gossip, she replies. And some people care about where their money actually goes. For the first time, something like real fear flashes in his eyes. What did she tell you? He demands. What lies is she feeding you? Enough, Ella says. She told me enough. She steps around him, heart pounding, and walks toward the door. You will regret going against me, he calls after her. I already regret every year I spent on your side, she says without turning around. The elevator doors close on his face. When she steps out onto the sidewalk, the air feels different, cleaner, sharper. Victoria is waiting in a black sedan. The door pops open as Ella approaches. Well? Victoria asks. Ella pulls the flash drive out of her pocket and places it in Victoria's hand. Midtown, she says. Offshore accounts, gifts, emails you are going to love. Victoria smiles, small and sharp. Good, she says. Now we give him the one thing he cannot manage. What is that? Ella asks. A stage he cannot control, Victoria says. The summit is in 3 weeks. I would like him to choke on his own spotlight. The New York Architectural Innovation Summit is built for men like Nicholas. The ballroom at the Grand Astoria is a catalog of power. Crystal chandeliers, branded banners, round tables full of black suits and polished smiles. A massive screen dominates the stage, currently looping highlights of last year's winners. Ella stands in the shadows near the tech booth, a borrowed staff badge around her neck. Her heart drums in her throat. This is wild. Lena whispers through the tiny earbud hidden under Ella's hair. I feel like I should have popcorn. Please do not say popcorn while I am trying not to pass out. Ella mutters. At the front of the room, Nicholas sits in the first row, surrounded by industry heavyweights. His posture is perfect, his smile easy. Victoria is at the same table, a few seats away, watching with unreadable eyes. In the tech booth, a tired-looking man with a man bun adjusts levels on a console. Ella waits for a lull, then steps closer, clutching a flash drive. Hi, she says. I am with the Midtown presentation. Mr. Walker asked me to make sure the latest video is loaded. There was a last-minute change. The tech guy groans. There is always a last-minute change. He says. You have the file? Right here, she says, holding out the drive. He plugs it in with the weary trust of someone who has seen too much. What is it called? He asks. Midtown_final_real, Ella says. The actual folder name is Midtown_truth, but he only sees the surface. He drags it into the playlist and goes back to his cue sheet. Visuals are ready. Ella murmurs into her mic. We are live. Board is seated. Victoria's voice comes back, calm as ever. Our lawyer is in the wings. Press is here. Once we start, there is no clean way to stop it. Good. Ella says. I am done with clean. The host takes the stage, voice smooth as glass. Next, we welcome a man whose firm has reshaped our skyline. He says. Please give a warm hand to Nicholas Walker. Applause rolls through the room. Nicholas rises, buttons his jacket, and walks onto the stage like he was born on it. Thank you. He says, smile confident. It is an honor to stand here and share my vision for the future of this city. His face fills the giant screen in live close-up. Every practiced expression, every charming tilt of his head. For years, he continues, I have believed that architecture is about stories. The Midtown Renewal Project is the culmination of my work and passion. Ella's hands clench at her sides. Now, Nicholas says, gesturing toward the screen. I would like to show you what we are building. He steps back. The lights dim. The tech guy hits play. The screen shows the Midtown title card Ella designed months ago. Sleek logo, dramatic music. A few people clap politely. The image flickers. In its place appears a pencil sketch on lined paper, edges rough, smudges still visible. Her first draft. Her date. Her signature. Midtown Skyline Concept Ella Cole. Nicholas's body stiffens. Before he can react, the slide changes. An email fills the screen, blown up so large every word is legible. This is brilliant, you are brilliant. We will make history together. I will handle the signatures. Do not worry about credit. N. A ripple moves through the crowd. Nicholas turns toward the tech booth, face whitening. Turn that off. He hisses into his mic, forgetting it is still live. The next slide appears. A bank statement with the Walker Architecture logo at the top. Several transfers are highlighted. Company account Ribward Arrow, private account Ribward Arrow Shell Company. Notes on the side read. Consulting. Miscellaneous expenses. Personal. Whispers swell into noise. Is this real? Someone murmurs behind Ella. A video loads. Grainy hotel hallway footage. Nicholas kissing a woman against a door, his hand sliding up her thigh. The timestamp shows a date investors in the room know too well. Nicholas lunges for the laptop, but security blocks his path, confused by the chaos and the fact that his wife is now walking calmly toward the stage. Victoria steps into the light and takes the microphone from the stunned host. Good evening, she says, voice carrying easily. My name is Victoria Walker. I am the Chief Financial Officer of Walker Architecture and, until recently, the wife of Nicholas Walker. The room goes silent. I apologize for the disruption. She continues. But transparency is an architectural value too. Behind her, the slides keep rolling. Offshore accounts. Internal memos with Nicholas's digital signature. Gifts purchased with company money. Apartments in other women's names. For several years, Victoria says, Nicholas has diverted company funds for personal use. He has also presented the work of our former employee, Ella Cole, as his own. We have provided this evidence to the board and to the authorities. Effective this morning, I have filed for divorce. Nicholas finally finds his voice. This is slander. He shouts. She is bitter. She is trying to destroy me because I left her. Actually, Victoria says, I am destroying you because you committed fraud. The laugh that ripples through the room is sharp and shocked. Ella steps forward before she can talk herself out of it. Her legs shake as she climbs the steps, but she keeps her head up. Victoria sees her coming and offers the mic. "Do you want to add anything?" she asks quietly. Ella could say no. She could stay a rumor, a blurry figure in a viral video. Instead, she turns to face the crowd. "My name is Ella Cole," she says. Her voice trembles once, then steadies. "I was a senior designer at Walker Architecture. I created the original concept for the Midtown Renewal Project." She gestures at the sketches blown up behind her. "I spent years working nights and weekends on these designs," she says. "Nicholas told me the board would not accept a young woman as the face of the project. He promised he would make it right later. Instead, he put his name on my work and told me to be grateful." A low murmur runs through the room, this time edged with anger. "I also made the mistake of believing him when he said he loved me," she says. "He told me his marriage was over. He told me I was the exception. When I got pregnant, he called me crazy and told the world I was delusional." She does not look at him. She is done giving him her eyes. "I am not proud of the choices I made," she says. "But I am done paying for his lies alone. I will be pursuing legal action to reclaim my work and my name. I hope no one in this room lets what you saw tonight slide, because it is inconvenient." She hands the mic back. For a second, there is only stunned silence. Then someone starts to clap. Then another. The applause builds, uneven and shocked, but real. Nicholas stands alone at the edge of the stage, fury and fear twisting his features, as board members close in and cameras drink in his fall. Back in the shadows, Lena whispers in Ella's ear, voice thick. "You were incredible," she says. "I genuinely hate him more than I thought possible." Ella steps off the stage on unsteady legs. "It is not over," she says. "He is not the kind of man who accepts consequences." "No," Victoria says beside her. "But he is the kind of man who cannot outrun a paper trail." Next stop is court. The courtroom is smaller than it looks on television. No dramatic marble pillars, just beige walls, worn benches, and a judge who looks like she has seen every kind of lie. Ella sits at the plaintiff's table with her attorney, Maya Ortiz. Lena is behind her, hand on her shoulder. Victoria is further down the row, surrounded by her own legal team. Across the aisle, Nicholas looks carved from stone, jaw clenched, eyes flat. His attorney, a smooth man named Price, whispers in his ear. "Remember," Maya murmurs. "You are not the one on trial. He is. You tell the truth. Let the evidence do the rest." When Ella takes the stand, her legs tremble, but they hold. Maya walks her through it all. Her hiring, her role on the Midtown project, the drafts, the late-night meetings, the emails projected on the courtroom screen, Nicholas's compliments now labeled as evidence. "You recognize this email?" Maya asks. "Yes," Ella says. "He sent it at 2 in the morning after I sent him an early concept." The email glows behind her. "This is brilliant, you are brilliant. We will make history together. I will handle the signatures." N. "Did he ever put your name on official documents for this project?" Maya asks. "No," Ella says. "He said the board wanted a single face for marketing." "Did he compensate you beyond your regular salary for the additional work?" "No." They go through the affair too, because it is all tangled together. The judge listens without flinching as Ella describes how Nicholas blurred the lines between mentor and lover, how he used their relationship to demand unpaid hours and unquestioning loyalty. "Why did you stay?" Maya asks gently. "Because I was 23 and he made me feel special," Ella says. "Because he told me he would leave his wife. Because he promised the sacrifices would be worth it. I believed him. That does not make what he did okay." Price tries to peel her apart on cross-examination. "Ms. Cole," he says, "you knew Mr. Walker was married when you started a relationship with him, correct?" "Yes," she says. "He told me they were separated. And you chose to continue anyway." "Yes," she says. "I made that mistake. It does not give him the right to steal my work." Price narrows his eyes. "Is it possible you are exaggerating your professional role now, because you feel embarrassed by the end of the relationship?" he asks. "No," Ella says. "My role is documented in drafts, emails, and file histories. You have seen them. Is there any written proof that he promised to leave his wife for you?" He presses. "No," she says. He was careful not to write that part down. He smiles like he has scored a point. "So we only have your word on that," he says. "You have my word," she says, voice steady. "And a pattern of behavior that matches it." The judge's gaze flickers, impressed for half a second before settling back into neutrality. Victoria's testimony is a different weapon entirely. She walks the court through years of financial misconduct with the same calm she used on stage, spreadsheets and bank statements projected in neat rows. She shows how funds left company accounts, routed through shell corporations, and reappeared as condos, cars, and jewelry. Nicholas treated the company like his personal wallet. She says, "At first I believed his explanations. Then I realized I was signing off on fraud. I stopped signing." "And when you confronted him?" Maya asks. "He told me I would not leave." Victoria says, "That I liked the lifestyle too much, that no one would believe me if I spoke up." Nicholas finally takes the stand. His charm has rough edges now. He insists Ella was part of a team, that she misunderstands her level of contribution. He calls their relationship a mutual lapse in judgment, initiated by an ambitious subordinate. He suggests Victoria is inflating minor accounting irregularities out of spite. Price tries to paint a picture of a generous man taken advantage of by bitter women. The evidence does not support it. When closing arguments are done, the judge takes her time. Days pass. Ella tries to work at her kitchen table and ends up staring at the wall. Lena forces her outside. Victoria moves money in quiet, controlled strokes, preparing for whatever the verdict will force her to do. On the morning of the decision, the courtroom is packed. The evidence in this matter, the judge says, voice clear, shows a consistent pattern of Mr. Walker misrepresenting Ms. Cole's work as his own, and using company funds for personal purposes. Ella's hands clenched together on her lap. In the case of Cole versus Walker, the judge continues. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff. Ms. Cole is recognized as the principal designer of the Midtown Renewal Project and is awarded compensatory damages for unpaid work and the value of her intellectual property. Air rushes out of Ella's lungs. In the matter of Walker versus Walker, the judge goes on. This court finds substantial financial misconduct. Marital assets are to be divided with 70% awarded to Mrs. Walker. Walker Architecture is ordered to undergo an independent audit. Findings will be forwarded to the appropriate authorities. Nicholas swears under his breath. His attorney grips his arm. As for Mr. Walker's public statements regarding Ms. Cole, the judge adds, they were reckless and defamatory. Additional damages are awarded. The gavel falls. The sound is small and final. Outside, microphones wait. Ms. Cole, do you have a statement? Someone shouts. Ella stands on the courthouse steps, Lena and Maya flanking her, Victoria a few feet away with her own swarm of cameras. Yes, Ella says. I do. The reporters lean forward. I want every young designer, every woman in a male-dominated field, to hear this. Ella says. You are not crazy for wanting credit. You are not dramatic for wanting respect. If someone at the top uses you and then calls you unstable when you speak up, they are the problem, not you. She breathes once, steady. You are allowed to walk away. She says. You are allowed to fight back. You are allowed to take your work and your life back, even if they tell you will never win. Cameras click. Someone cheers. Lena wipes at her eyes, pretending she is just fixing her eyeliner. For the first time in a long time, Ella walks away from a building feeling lighter than when she went in. 1 year later, the Midtown Renewal Project opens under a new name. The plaque at the entrance reads Cole Studio in clean metal letters. Underneath, in smaller type, Principal Architect Ella Cole. Below that, another line in partnership with Walker Equity Group, founded by Victoria Walker. People stop to take photos with the plaque. A few whisper, more than a few smile. Inside, the lobby is all light and open space, with unexpected pockets of green tucked between concrete and steel. The building feels alive in a way renderings never fully captured. You keep staring at your own name, Lena says, appearing at Ella's side with a champagne flute and a mini cupcake. It is going to get shy and run away. I spent years staring at it under someone else's, Ella says. Give me a minute. Up on the mezzanine, Cole Studios' office looks out over the lobby. Young designers move between desks, their laughter mixing with the murmur of guests. On one wall hangs the original Midtown pencil sketch, smoke stains still faintly visible at the edges where the paper almost died in a trash fire. How do you feel? Lena asks. Like I should pinch myself, Ella says. And like I need a nap. Those two can coexist, Lena says. That is adulthood. She bumps their shoulders together. You did it, Elle, she says. You dragged yourself out of his shadow and built a whole damn building with your name on it. Ella thinks about the last year. Therapy sessions where she learned to lay the blame where it belongs. workshops she taught on contracts and credit, explaining what she wished someone had told her at 23. Nights at the studio that were exhausting but hers. She thinks about the quiet ache that still flares sometimes when she passes a park and sees a kid laughing. The grief for a life she chose not to bring into the world. It is still there, but it no longer drowns her. Across the room, Victoria stands in a white suit, talking to investors. Her hair is shorter now, cut sharp at her jaw. Her laughter comes easier. When she catches Ella's eye, she excuses herself and walks over. "Congratulations," Victoria says. "The building is better than the models." "High praise," Ella says. "From you." Victoria's mouth curves. "The board is very pleased," she says. "For once, their greed and my principles lined up." "How does it feel?" Ella asks. "Not being Mrs. Walker anymore?" "Quieter," Victoria says. "At first I did not know what to do with the silence. Then I realized I could fill it with my own voice." She glances up at the mezzanine. "I worried," she says quietly, "that I would never be more than the woman who left him, the one who exposed him, the one who took most of his money. I like that my business card now just says Victoria Walker, investor." "You earned that," Ella says. "Twice over." "And you?" Victoria asks. "Do you still feel like the woman in that video?" Ella thinks of the rain, the cameras, the broken paper in the gutter. "Sometimes," she admits. "Sometimes I see a clip online and my stomach drops. But most days, I feel like the woman who walked into court and said, 'This is mine. Give it back.'" Victoria nods once. "That is the one I know," she says. A familiar voice calls Ella's name. She turns to see Jordan, an old college friend, weaving through the crowd with an apologetic grin and a lanyard around his neck. "I cannot believe this is yours," he says, sweeping a look around the lobby. "Well, I can, but seeing it in person is different." "Look at you," Ella says, hugging him. "Mr. Community Center." "Hey, my last project has a leaky roof," he says. "This wins." They talk about materials and city politics and the strange pressure of being the face of a project. His presence feels easy, like slipping back into comfortable shoes. There is no rush, no dizzy obsession, just the sense that life has possibilities that do not involve being someone's secret. As the party thins out, Ella slips onto the rooftop terrace. The city sprawls around her, lit up and loud. Before, these skyscrapers felt like judgment. Tonight, they feel like company. She goes to the railing and looks down at the streets far below. Once, she stood down there, drenched and shaking, begging a man to choose her. Now people walk in and out of a building with her name on it without even knowing that story. "I am sorry," she says softly, to the version of herself who thought love meant disappearing. "You deserved better. We both did." The wind is cool against her face. "You survived," she whispers. "We survived. We did more than that." Footsteps scuff behind her. "I knew I would find you up here," Lena says, brooding over the city like a very stylish gargoyle. "I am reflecting," Ella says. "Brooding with branding," Lena says. "On theme." She leans on the railing beside her. "Do you ever miss him?" Lena asks. Ella considers it. "I miss the feeling of being chosen," she says slowly. "Before I realized I was just one more thing he collected. I do not miss him." "Good," Lena says. "He does not get to be the main character in your head anymore. That spot is taken." Ella laughs quietly. "Do you know why I called the studio Thorned Moonlight in the pitch deck?" she asks. "Because you are dramatic?" Lena suggests. "Because that night could have just been pain," Ella says. "Rain, cameras, humiliation. Instead it became the line I drew. The moon was out that night, sharp and small. The thorns were everything that hurt. I decided I would rather grow around the pain than pretend it never happened." "That is beautifully emo," Lena says. "I want it on a tote bag." They stand there for a while, watching headlights move like slow constellations. Inside, someone calls Ella back for a photo. There will be more interviews, more panels, more emails. There will be late nights and new fights and small failures. There will be mornings when she looks up at her own building and still cannot quite believe it. But right now, on this rooftop, she lets herself feel it all. The grief, the rage, the stubborn joy of having clawed her life back from someone who thought she would always stay quiet. The moon hangs over the city, thin and bright, a silver thorn against the dark. Ella smiles. This time, the story is hers.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.